Now let's talk about public school versus homeschooling. Public school versus homeschooling. I will focus much on a secular perspective from secular studies and the secular research that just people have done and they've presented out there, trying to balance up the whole issue. So it's you now who make a decision. So I'll be on both sides. I will talk about homeschooling, I will talk about public schooling. Then when you hear what you've heard, then you can draw conclusions that, you know what, with what I've heard, which side is more prominent than the other. But let's start from where we are starting from all the time. How important really are these issues we want to talk about? I will repeat this quotation and will be repeating this quotation because it's very important. Now as never before, we need to understand the true science of education. If we fail to understand this, we shall never have a place in the kingdom of God. This is a theme quotation for our conference. That we need to understand the true science of education. You see, someone asked the question that why do you call true education true education? Why don't you just call it this is another form of education? Why call it true? You see, the moment you say this is the true, what are you implying? Exactly. There is something which is what? Which is false. The moment I take out a piece of kwacha here and say, this is an original Malawi kwacha, what am I trying to say? There exists a fake one. So, the comment here is saying, we need to understand the true science of education. Because the reality is, so the true science of education, the importance is, if you fail to understand this, if you and me fail to understand this, we shall not have a part in the kingdom of God. And now from the presentation the many brother friends I was giving, I'm hoping we can begin to see it clearly. And they're making it deliberate. Putting my mind that were kind of so docile, so thoughtless. Not because it's not a drama. That is not the issue. It's not about making money. You're beginning to see, all these issues are pointing in the same direction. It's about the kingdom of God. Now, for you to find yourself in the kingdom of God, you must be thinking, you must be active, you must be this. The winner would not only will I attack them, but let me also train their minds in such a way. Kuta kama werenga Bible, kama werenga SOP, my brains are their brains should fail to understand. Because reading quotations like this, I know some of us will find it very boring. The way those quotations are long sometimes. Though you should start reading that quotation to capture everything in your mind becomes very difficult. Why? Because of the way you have been educated. Your mind is not trained to capture things like that. So as a result, the end point is you are going to miss the kingdom of heaven. That's basically what it is all about. In the councils of the church, this is repetition to deepen impression. In the highest sense, the work of education and the work of redemption are one. This is a very simple quotation, but very profound. In other words, when God was introducing his system of education, his end point was salvation. When the devil and his allies are introducing their system of education, their end point is destruction. So basically, it is not just an issue of where you choose to have your child schooled. It's not just about whether they should sit on a chair or whether they should sit on a sofa or whether they should be in a classroom. Nkani njokuti matero azintuzi njira iyi ndi njira iyi ukukatera kuti that's what all these things all about. It's not about whether they will make money and all these things. So here in Kansas the church I put in the work of education and the work of redemption in the highest sense. Say again in most it's one. For in education as in redemption, other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ. He is the foundation of every, or the true education system. The foundation is in Him, And he is the one who gives you and me the salvation or the redemption. So the work of redemption, salvation are one. So as you go through this secular mindset of 2 versus 4, homeschooling versus public education, they carry with all these things in mind. For the channel E, you want redemption. Which channel is going to take you to your destination? In the same council of the church, our ideas of education take too narrow and too low a range. There is a need for a broader scope, a higher aim. True education means more than the perusal of a certain course of study. And it means more than a preparation for life that now is. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. So when God is introducing true education, He's simply saying, I want to deal with the whole being, from your head to your toes, from your food to your chores, from your work to your garden. I want to deal with the whole being. In other words, I'm packaging simply, encompass. It all say about you. So in other words, God does not have this system where I'm a pianist. So you know what? I think Ababa Ngopanga focus just on his head, or Ngopanga focus just on his issues. God does not do that. Akamati ndukumpanga train Mandula, ndukumpanga train muntu. I want to encompass everything, the whole being, from your intellectual all the way to your physical, all the way to everything else about you as a man. But then, one thing which I find also exciting, it has to do with the period or the whole period possible for one to exist. What does that mean? It means it's talking about from the cradle, not to the grave. Because the world says from the cradle to the grave, isn't it? God is saying, no. It is the whole period of possible existence. What does that mean? It is talking about the time when you live, even if you're going to die, Christ will resurrect you, you will still be alive in eternity. I should design an education system that will see this person through all the way from the cradle to eternity. But if you look at the system which man creates, he only looks at a certain limited period. That's why in this quotation, our ideas of education are too low. They really are too low. That's why Anagama Pusisa, God was 1 plus 2, 3 plus 4. I think it's fine. Let's just stop here. God says, no. Can he do this? Somebody said, and the people in the marketplace are beginning to realize it. And you are not successful until every part of your life is successful. For Yamba, people will be praised. This is a very famous footballer. By the way, Pele has died. Sorry about that. Which I don't know whether you are here. But Pele has died. But he was a man who is deemed the greatest footballer who has ever what? Who has ever lived. But if you look at these people, you look at these men, for Yamba, they would have a very shambolic life, even a shambolic marriage. And even their marriages are a mess, because they only have one thing in their life which is great. They know how to kick a soccer ball, they know how to head a ball into the net. Just this one thing they were deemed great. But now the world is beginning to realize that no, you cannot be deemed a successful man if you even in your very home, there is no peace, the children are all over the place, your marriage is upside down. How do we define you as success? Your health is a mess. The time when you are awake, you make brilliant reports. So God is saying, our ideas of education are just too low. I want to deal with the whole being. So in other words, when we are saying Mr. Katakaba is successful, we are looking at his marriage. How is he with his wife? How is he with his children? How is he with his neighbors and the society where he lives? How is he at the workplace? How is he with his colleagues? Nominally higher than him. Those who are lower than him. How is it? You say so. How would you look at everything? Then you can deem that this person is truly educated. So, we are two systems. I'll keep repeating what we're talking about. We talk public school and home school. Which one is going to deal with the whole of you? From your head to your toe, from your cradle to eternity. these are the things that we need to be thinking about. It is the harmonious. I don't know how we understand the word harmony. Harmony is a musical term. Okay, in music you have three things. You have melody, you have harmony, you have rhythm. Yeah. Now harmony in music is when they came to sing. They were trying to sing. When you sing harmoniously, you're going at this thing together. You are not leaving each other behind. You're not saying, no, you're all going at the same tune, you're going at the same rhythm. That's harmony. Okay? So, as I say, it is the harmonious development. It means the way we grow. By the time tukutalilika, timapatiso tukukula, your arms are also doing this, everything grows together. Sometimes for human beings, sometimes I think mabaza actually grow taller than the rest of our body. I don't know if you've ever noticed. Your feet. You can see a young man is only 12, but look at his feet. He's already wearing a size 9 because he will not probably grow beyond that. As kula no height, komano kapazi kukakonzekera kale to handle this huge gigantic height. If you never noticed, you should notice that. But there are others who, telling certain things are not being harmonious. The growth of the body is not harmonious. So here he's talking about education being harmonious development. So meaning when I'm talking about the physical, mental, and the spiritual powers, all these powers are growing or they are developing harmoniously. Meaning physically I'm developing, spiritual I'm developing, physical I'm also developing, mental I'm developing at the same rate. I hope that is making some sense. Because some of us, we are even sitting here. Even I myself, if I'm to be put in a weight, I may be found wanting. But physically, are you growing? By the way, did you know, young people? I think Jesus was a very healthy and even a fit guy. If you didn't know. And Africa, when you're talking about Jesus Christ, we think as if Kanalika prophet, going in Galilee. Jesus was a man. He was even physically well developed. So when those guys were slapping him, sometimes we think, he was this little guy. No, my friend. He could have been able to grab those hands and massacre those people. That's who he was, physically. If you didn't know, he was a carpenter. I hope you knew that. Yeah? He was a carpenter. You should expect that he was... So physically, he was developed. Mentally, he was developed. And spiritually, nobody needs to even mention. He was well developed. And that's a challenge you and me have. Are we physically developing? Are we mentally developing? And are we also physically, mentally, and also spiritually? We have to be developing. So many of them have a Bible study. Yeah, we need to have Bible study. Bible study. It's Bible study night after night. Why don't you have time to say, let's go to the mountain together? Let's do this. Physically, you also need the development. So would it prepare the student for the joy of service in this world and for the higher joy of wider service even in the world to come? So if we are being prepared for service, it means we are capable physically, mentally, spiritually to deliver what we need to deliver. Now I just want to go through a few points about public schools. This is, like I said, public research and all these things. So this is a case about public. Okay, in a public school, I think your child's care and education is overseen by trained professionals who have undergone background check. So in a public school, they have studied education. They know they have their degrees. They know how to make a teaching schedule. They know how to deliver a message. They know how to do presentations. So these guys, they are trained professionals who know what they are supposed to be doing. So this is one thing which is praised for public school. That you know what, Antaminajite overseer, their children, they are people who are well trained. They studied education and all these things. That's why others, when they are thinking about schooling their own children, on this point they say, we have no qualification, we are nothing, how can I possibly do this? Because the world praises that they are trained professionals schooling. Actually, right now, in most institutions, the competition is who is more trained. In other words, what I mean to say is that even in kindergarten, you're having people who have degrees and masters, to be training this. They have early childhood development, they all the way to PhD. So it appears to be this is a good school because our school in Germany because I many mafuta pa school many also in my PhD in my chance. Kunomo Malawi, we can have even a secondary school or even at the highest qualification, when the degree. When you can have somebody with a master. But in our schools, our friends in other countries, you have a college who, or even a high school, all the teachers are PhD or cow. So that one becomes like a plus. These people are well trained, they know how to treat and to deal with the children. The other issue that is brought out when it comes to public schools is that children have many opportunities to play with other children. Because if you look at even the way we are sitting here, some families say you have one child, then I'm okay. Some here have no children at all, okay. Now if you have one child, like I'm seeing Mr. Gonde and his wife have one child. Now in the home that may be looked upon as a disadvantage because he doesn't have an opportunity to play with other children. If anything, he will just be talking to his father, his mother, and if there's an aunt nearby, and that's it. So the issue is in the public school, the children have opportunity, they'll play with their friends, and a friend of James, John. So it sounds good that the children can play, and they can play all day and everything else. So that comes in as a plus according to the thinking about public schools. The other issue about public schools is that it allows both parents to work away from home. You see, the argument is quickly presented. But you know, so the study having a degree. I thought you need to exercise those papers. So you need to go and search for a job, so that you are able to work and develop your career and everything else. So the issue is, if you are going to put your children in a public somebody has taken over the responsibility for you. Somebody is going to teach them and babysit them and everything else, and you are free. That's how the world thinks. This is not me. This is how the world thinks. You are free to pursue many of the things. But many in the other circles, you may be deemed as if you're disadvantaged. How do you pursue your career and all these things? So daddy, mommy abuela, daddy abuela, so after some period of time. What about the issue of curriculum? In the public school, the curriculums that are usually offered, they are usually comprehensive. Life skills, all these things, biology, history, and all these things. Well structured and for so many years, so the curriculums are usually very, very comprehensive, and this is brought forth as a very big advantage. The curriculums are just comprehensive to go through the public school. The other issue, though, when you're talking about public school, is that the parents yield much of their daily influence to the public school system. So this is rather somewhat negative, that the parents yield a lot of their daily influence to the public school system. Munjiraina, awuli makolo amakanga apereka no sopano mphamvu zawo, apereka chikoka chawo, achipereka chosechija to the system. Meaning kuti mwana ujazi, it was being presented in the previous presentation, samakhaso mwana wa inuyo as makolo, amakhala mwana wa ndani, mwana wa boma, because that child belongs to the system now, does not belong to you. In fact, that's why when the child comes home, inuyo mkamati, mwana iwe, kuti upanga chifukwa chana mati, aticha tuandoza kuti chani. Left. You as a parent, you're saying right, but the teacher said left. So it means the parents have yielded a lot of their influence to their children. The children will be the one to the system becomes the one to dictate. This is another issue about public schools. The instruction is aimed at students of average intelligence. I want this to be clear to you. I'm sure you saw from the history minute that we've just gone through. The system, the instruction is aimed at students of average intelligence. Not much flexibility for students to learn at their own pace, and above average students are under challenge, while below average students sometimes fall through the cracks. So because the system in Jamaona Guti, tikapesa mayeso tikayika at this level, so many people akumalepera. Tikayika at this level ambiri akumakhoza. So let's find the average pena pake pamene pukuti tikepo kuti ana ambiri pabwerera kan average azirowa pamene puku. So in other words, the instruction itself, you're aiming it at an average student. You're not aiming it at the most intelligent or the most so what happens is mayeso aja akakhala kuti ndovuta in the average yo uyiwanzeru kwambiri, he feels very under challenge. Ndajana amangokhozani ma 6 points. What is this? Angokhoza chili chonse 100%. What is this? Pamene mukasi omweyo you're having somebody who has difficulty to learn very quickly. That very same exam amakakhoza ma 9, ma 8, ma 0, ma D, because akuona kuti hey, this is too hard for me. So it does not allow, it is not flexible that children are different. So it will just give the average education. If you can't meet this grade, sorry, go back home. If you've jumped it, good for you, and that's it. Somebody said, imagine there's a race. Okay? Young people, imagine there's a race. There's a rabbit. There's a monkey. There's a tortoise. Probably there's also an elephant. So there's a race. These guys have to race. The one who wins that race, who do you think is going to win the race? There's a rabbit, there's a tortoise, there's an elephant, there's a monkey. Who is going to win the race? The rabbit. Because you are assuming the race will involve what? Isn't it? What if I set the course? But the course is Sobano, there's a big river as part of the course. Figure there's a big river, they have to cross it. Akadusa venevo akaneka akwere mitengo akabwera mitengo akafika mapilina azikapitilira. Now the way the course itself is going to be structured will determine who is going to win. If the race was about climbing up a tree, climbing up trees and going up a mountain and continue running, who is going to win that race? The monk. Why the monk? Because he's the one who is most adapted to what? To climbing, isn't it? If the race involves kudusa pamanzi, who is going to win? The tortoise. Why? Because he can swim. The monkey can do that. But if the race is just straight, from here to city center, just straight, let's run. Who is going to win that race? The rabbit, because he can what? Now you're taking all these people. So Ana Ena, they are rabbits. Ana Ena, they are monkeys. Ana Ena, they are elephants. Ana Ena, they are tortoises. Now, the way you are going to set the platform will determine who is going to win. So, the way this average education is set, average people, many are accustomed to that kind of level are the ones who cross. And yet that child was simply a monkey and you wanted him to swim. Big problem. So, I believe there was a mainly below average. I mean, those are not accustomed, they fall through the cracks. They're being ignored. The teacher said, nobody wants to see them. And the other aspect about public schools, there is pressure to teach for the test. And for those of you who have gone through the public education system, you will agree with me. You never studied to understand. Let's be honest with each other here. You were studying, there is a test coming, isn't it? So some of the people were very clever. They would go behind the bus and meet the teachers in one way or the other, so that they snoop as to what the test is going to be. So when they get to know what the test, we'll focus much on chapter 2 and chapter 3. Will you study chapter 4? Because you want to what? You want to pass the what? So the learning is not a cast. The people learning are not learning because of the love for knowledge. The learning is because I want to get a good grade. Full stop. So the learning is accustomed that way. In fact, like for those who are writing, let's say MSc and all these other levels, one would know that, hey, my students, for them to pass, I need to focus them on these chapters, and the others get to be ignored. Why? Because you want to. So the students the teachers, the pressure they have is to make sure the students pass the test, and that's it. And you know, for those of you who've gone through public education, the day you got out of that exam room, were you remembering half of the stuff that you were studying? Half of the stuff was what? It's gone because what you wanted has happened. Hey, so all that knowledge you dump it into the dustbin can and you're gone. Because the teaching was just for you to pass the test. The other issue, there is the pressure to accept many additional expenses, such as premium school supplies, name branding clothing, fundraisers, and extracurricular activities. There is a lot of pressure. The child will come, Daddy, Mommy, this is Christmas. So to say particular Christmas costume version, it's Christmas. So Father, I am playing this role. There is a pressure. You have to produce money so that those roles are met. If the child is having sports, all this, there is always pressure for these extracurricular activities and extra expenses that will have to be met. But the other issue about public school is that some teachers, and this is true, they lack passion, some of them lack talent, some of them lack genuine care and empathy. They just don't have it. You think with this child is struggling, but you just don't care because you don't have the empathy, you don't have the love, you don't have the passion for this. Why? There are other people who are teachers, and they teach in these institutions because their father wanted them to be teachers. So it was not you who they want to be teachers, but you will be a teacher. The whole family are teachers. So you have to be what? A teacher. So the person has no love, no empathy, no care, nothing. That's the one that your child in the public school is in the hands of. So others are very cruel and mean because that's perhaps how they have been raised themselves. I'm sure that picture is speaking 1,000 words. One thing about public schools is what? Bullying. The child will go there, and because the child is different from the others, they will be subject to bullying. So because they're in a public school, they spend much time with peers of the same age. Limited opportunities for cross-generational interaction. There is limited. Angobanga deal azaka 5 okaoka, azaka 6 okaoka, they don't have access to other people who are older or younger. They may be bullied and badly influenced by other children. I remember one time we were going to a certain funeral. We were going there to condole the family. So we just went and we had the car park. We were about to enter. So some old guy said, Makosana, Tendangatiana. And they said, what do you mean? He said, Tendangatiana. Because we didn't talk prior that who is going to preach, who is going to pray, who is going to give the welcoming remarks. Because children are like that. You know, if you just tell them, guys, go outside, go, they will not agree anything. They will just start off. So they are not thinking as to exactly what they are going to do, where they are going, who is going to open the door, nothing. They just go. So because of the influence of peers of the same age, the thought processes sometimes are very poor. But the bullying now, they get to be bullied now because they are taller, or they are slender, or they are fat. They will get to be bullied by the other students. What other issues there in public schools? This is the peer review of public in the public domain. There is peer pressure to form or conform to generally accepted social norms. So because we have been to school, and that is to school, I'm going to behave in a certain way. So you are under pressure. Ukakalangati nsungwana ngati oti sister kundroje bravo ndio kona nzako alipanga sasa ngazimaponete kumbuyo. So you are under pressure now. You want to conform and look like your friends, or the way they dress, or some of the things they eat, some of the things they drink could be wrong, and you'll be influenced. The other issue in the public school, which is the first developing issue, are issues of the LGBTQI. This is slowly but surely taking serious roots in the public system. Kale inali LG yoka. There's lesbian and gay. Then when I be bisexual. Then when I T transsexual. Then when I no Q, the I is like it's just adding now different variations in terms of people. Others who choose to say, I don't consider myself a man. No, I don't consider myself a woman. No, I think I am both. I think I'm a man, I'm a woman. No, I'm this. Now they are bringing this pressure into the public education. Children have to participate in these kind of things. There's another video I was seeing where a drag queen was brought into a school, was dancing together with the children and giving the person a chance to die. But you try to stand against this thing. You try to say, no, my child will not, no, my school will not participate. You've been serious trouble. Serious trouble. Some issues about homeschooling. This is in the public domain. This has nothing to do with what Mr. Babuta was saying. SOP and Bible. This is what the people out there who have studied these issues are saying. Parents have great influence over their child's education, including the selection of materials. So they can begin to tell the child what should happen and what should not happen. Even what materials the child should use for learning in a homeschooling setup. The other issue also is you control the complexity and cost of curriculum in the materials. The parent will control. I think curriculum is my activities kupanga hour, materials are the hour. The parent is the one now who has the control in their hands. What about how do your children also are safer in your care? You have greater influence over the friendships they make. More opportunities for interacting with adults. I want to emphasize this point. Within a homeschooling setup, an hour, or these young people, wouldn't they have better opportunity or greater opportunities of interacting with adults? What's so great about interacting with adults? Sometimes we underestimate it. Let me try to explain. Kipatso, this little boy Amende, Bye. He's getting to be 3 years old, Papa. Even this little one who is here, he's only a year or so. Now, the way they are going to speak will be determined by how the adults are speaking. So the adult is saying, good morning. So they will try to say, good morning. Because you are the one who is speaking clearly and in clear language. Okay? But if you as a parent, muzaona ana wakamaswera with ana zenzao, because that's what the child is doing. Now, but the child saying boo 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 boo, they're trying to speak the way you are speaking as an adult. So the more the child interacts with adults, mwana ujakamachita interact kwambina ntu akulu. Amakala aspirational. He's always wanting to be like amenali kusogolo kwa keko, akaona tavala jacket chonchi, kufala tai pakosi. Ndio ujakamaya ngana sita, me too, I don't want. I want to be like that. Because akayangana upwards and onwards. His whole life is always looking at his silly friend. The only thing he's thinking about is how silly can I be to be more silly than that one. How can I, because it's the 24/7, the good part of that child's day, so as a result, when the child is at home, and the way the child is going to be talking and interacting, we interact at a more mature level than as in Zaka Menal of the same age, because the child is always aspirational, wanting to go forward, wanting to learn more and all these things. I remember my father-in-law one time was commenting, and this is daughter of yours. She has some big words, when I come I go, oh, really? That's really very unfortunate. And he was very surprised. He said, child, he's only 6 years old, but he's producing a word like, that was very unfortunate. Those are words children don't normally produce. But because the child is interacting a lot with adults, they learn a lot, even in terms of language and behavior and all these things. And Banga interact at the same level. Our studies can be tailored to individual strengths, accelerating according to ability. Students with learning difficulties can get more individualized attention. Some of us who were in school with young people whom the world deemed I'm sure mtawakumbukira mnena on class. What are we amwe? And as a result, what is happening? Isn't it? When you're going to do your discussions, what do you do with these guys? If the teachers want to choose somebody to do anything, what do they do with these guys? Always leaving them aside or forcing them. Makosana, pull up your socks. Keep running. Now when it is in a home setup, mwana oyoyo amabanga understands the morphology. Koma uyuyu zimantengera nthawi, isn't it? So you adjust. Kuti uyu amezi kutenga nthawi mumphunzitse for a little longer until he gets or she gets that issue. Uyu amene aphunzira mayisangayi mumphunzitse mufulumizira because that's how they learn and that's how they understand. So in a home setup, you tailor now depending on the ability of the child and the strength that that child has. Then mwana uja mazimva ndi nendi ne individual. Because kunja kuno kuliana usiyana sana ma condition. Others are dyslexia, kuliana ma speech problems. Anena ramazania kuyankhula in this little. I know somebody I will not say much because mtakumuziwa. Ndi muntu okulapira ku school ndophunzira komana makanika kuyankhula. Kupusana nene chinthu china chake mambo ukwedolola. Sayankhula mulongo soka, not this kind of dumb. But he had I'm sure anakula with a speech impediment imene makolo sana ziwe kuti mwana wathu ndi speech impediment. So amango zolemba no problem. Give him to write and whatever, no problem. But bring him to speak a big problem. As a result, the world will say, no, this child is whatever. No, he just has a speech problem. And because one or another child is very clever, they can speak very quickly. Hey, come on, I can't say no. It doesn't mean that way. Others have processing issues. They take too long to process an issue. You have to explain yourself 3-4 times for them to understand you. So, I don't know how many teachers have that patience. You explain a concept, the child raises the hand. Teacher, I didn't understand. Oh, you didn't understand. You explain again, the child raises the hand again. Teacher, I still did not understand. The teacher will quickly get mad or angry and dismiss my friend in or something like that. Because you're failing to catch up with your friends. But they have issues. Okay? There is attention deficit disorder. So children have issues. They are different one from the other. So in a home setup, you umabanga buno depending on the strength of the child. In a home setup as well, in a home school, I need flexibility to align your day with natural rhythm, freedom to travel, control over schooling time. What am I saying? What is this quotation trying to say? The flexibility to align yourself with natural rhythm. What am I trying to say? We are moving through a season agent right now. This is what season we're going through now. It's a rainy season, right? Now, when it is pouring hard, isn't that a sign to say, please don't go to school today? Don't you think? It's pouring really hard. It's a sign to say, don't go to school. But what will happen under normal circumstances, a public setup? Nobody you push the child, I think I'm playing, I'm bring it over. Now, the natural rhythm is saying this time of the year, maybe you might want to sit down. This is not the time for you to go out. Like right now in America, there's heavy snow and all these things. The natural rhythm is saying, can you please sit down? But unfortunately, in the public system, you don't follow the natural rhythm. You force everywhere. Nature is saying this, you go the other way, and all these things. At the same time, you also have freedom to travel. You can actually plan and align yourself. The way me as a person, I would want to go in December, January this, March that. You can align yourself with your life because your schedule, it is you who write up that schedule. And also, you can control what time the child goes to school. I remember my daughters were telling their mother sometimes that they would prefer studying in the evening, not in the morning. Why? Because in the morning, they want to play, they want to do this, they want to do chores, whatever. In the evening, that's when they want to sit down. Okay, mommy, now you can come. Yes, what you want us to learn. So, the time for learning can be flexed to the time when the child is in the mood for learning. Brother Magodo already said, some of us, me, I'm one of them, I would go to school crying because I really didn't want to go to school. I would tell my parents, leave it at school, because I never considered it mine. I said, I will go to your school since you want me to go, so I will go to your school. It is not mine. So when you go there, you're rebellious, you're angry. I was always fighting with friends because I was never happy there because I felt they are forcing me to go there. You understand? So when you have flexible time, when I wants to be sleeping, after okay, fine. How you're going to clean your room, do this. How is on will learn. There is flexibility. They can even go outside, do chores and all these things. There is flexibility. in terms of how you make your time and your programming. Good families, however, they must be deliberate about finding opportunities for socialization. This socialization is deemed in the worldly context, particularly in rural areas without a nearby homeschool group. Good parents have to be deliberate. Could you know what? We Tibange Maobale and the other families also homeschooling is very important because you share notes, you share challenges. Like what we are doing here, some families here homeschooling, some are not, but you share challenges, you share goals and all these things. So it's a very good opportunity. Also, for these children to see fellow children who are also being homeschooled, it has an impact upon them. That support group is very necessary for you to have. Common other problems of homeschooling. Parents who are poorly disciplined may neglect their responsibilities. You see the mother is on her phone, the father is on the phone, and the child is just sitting there with, okay, now who is going to take care of me? But the parents are saying, we are homeschooling. Okay? We are homeschooling, and yet the father is preoccupied, the mother is preoccupied, the child is being neglected. Good people, homeschooling requires that you pay attention to your child. You can't say, you know what, I'm homeschooling because Manand never come. Just because the child is at home, it does not necessarily automatically mean you're homeschooling. The other downfall is that studies may not be well-rounded if parents shy away from subjects such as foreign language, higher mathematics, and science. Abayenda Longo, some of you parents here, science in Kabucheza. Am I right? Science in Mabucheza and Wambiri, you had difficulty with math, now you're supposed to teach your own child. So because you don't like math, what do? Child, today let's just learn language, let's go to the garden, whatever. You keep keeping some of these things. You don't want, because they are difficult for you as a parent because you are not very conversant or whatever it is. So you begin to shy away. As a result of you being shy away, the child will not be well rounded. It could be even issues to do with agriculture, to do with the garden. You are not very familiar with what happens in the garden. What happens? You shy away. Yeah, so even I myself, like for the garden, I'm not very strong there. Me, I'm strong mathematics. I say, no problem. You want me to teach you mathematics? No problem. Come, I will teach you. But you say, can you go to the garden and teach me how to do this? I say, this one we are tired. You know, the weather today is not very good. So as a result, what happens is the child misses a well-rounded education. That's one thing which is a pitfall, which has to be avoided. I wouldn't package curriculum or school supplies and extracurricular activities can be expensive. Papa, we need to understand, there are many people who think homeschooling is easy or it's free. Homeschooling is theory. Homeschooling is theory. Homeschooling is not free. The package curriculum can come at a cost. Of course, we'll compare at the end my cost between public and homeschooling. But I'm simply saying it comes at a cost. So others will feel, I want to homeschool, say, child, just this there, you have no materials, nothing. No, they come at a cost. That has to be understood. And some of them can be really expensive. One from the other. Those who can you have it properly done. It requires considerable effort and time investment by parents. So if one is saying, me, I want to do homeschooling, please remember and know it will require considerable effort, number one. And the time investment, you have to invest a lot of time in this. It's not just, I'm homeschooling my child, so my child is at home, when you're going somewhere else, you're always out there. No, you need to dedicate time so that this thing can become a success. It's a bit for most parents. There's this website, they had a certain research that they made. It's called homeeducation.com. Homeeducation.com. They had a certain research that they made. So they were comparing parents, okay? How many who are homeschooling their children, homeschooling parents. They were just comparing them. So they went to do a research. So they found Guti Amina in the high school degrees in America. It's about 1.4. No degree at all. The men. High school degree about 8%, some degree 15%, associate degree about 8%. Most of them had bachelor's degree about 36, 37%, 20% with the master's, very few with doctorate. With the women, just slight variations, no high school at all, about 5%, high school degree 7.5, some college 18, associate degree 10%, most of them had bachelor's degree and so on. So you see the demographics of the parents that are doing homeschooling in America. on the children. At most, they have children between 4 to 6 children in number. Those beyond 7 children were very few, but the biggest majority is within 3 children to 6 children were the ones who were homeschooling in America. They found this interesting result though. It has a lot of figures. I will not go through each and every one of them. But what they're simply saying is, how did they found the homeschool children had the 87th percentile. I believe it is not a test score. It means 87% of all students scored lower than homeschoolers. When they compared the public school children and the homeschool children, I would 87% of them, they scored less than the homeschool children. And the homeschool children were actually excelling the ones who were in the public school. That's one thing they found out regarding the results. So I would those who scored behind, behind Banka public school about 5%. Most of the homeschoolers scored almost the same percent. Actually, 25% were actually going beyond the ones that were in the public school system. Awuri homeschooling is the fastest growing form of education in America. Because the public school is growing at 1% rate, but the homeschooling is growing at 7%. If you look at the figures, in 1999, they were 860,000, representing about 0.7%. In 2003, they were 1.1 million, about 2.2%. In 2007, 1.5, about 2.9. And in 2010, about 2 million, representing about 4%. Right now, is at about 7% growth rate. So it means that people are realizing, in just on a secular point of view, you know what? I think we need to go back to this. Who have been homeschooled. When they grow up, so people were asking them questions. Are you a homeschooled? Yes. What are you saying? So, are you glad you were homeschooled? A big percentage said, oh yes, we are glad we were homeschooled. And I go, yeah. But a very small percentage were like, I say whatever, we have no answer. How many were not happy about 1.4%? We're not happy that we were homeschooled. And no, they don't know about 0.6%. That's very, very tiny fraction. Second question, did homeschool give you an advantage as an adult? The biggest, 66% are saying, oh yes, it gave us an advantage as an adult, 66%. About 26% I would, yes, were given an advantage. Very tiny percentages gave a negative feedback. Did homeschool limit your education opportunities? Because others feel, school, he is limited. So these were homeschooled children who were asked, were you limited because they homeschooled? A big church I wouldn't know. Not at all, close to 60%. 29% I would say, we're not. In total, it's close to 8, not 90%. A small percentage are saying, yeah, we're limited. It's a very, very, very small percentage. The other question, did homeschool limit your career choice? When you want to be a pilot, you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a farmer, whatever it is you are thinking to do, did homeschooling limit it? The big chunk said no, about 75%. With an 18% adding, no, you didn't limit it. So this is research that was done. According, will you homeschool your own children? Now this is a question the homeschooling people were being asked. Oh, you were homeschooled? Yes. Will you homeschool your own children? The biggest answer, oh yeah, 54%. Yes, 23%. The big chunk of them are saying, yes, we're going to homeschool our children. A tiny percentage, 1.6%, are saying, no, we will not do it. So you can see, this is empirical evidence of people who are homeschooling their children, or some who have been homeschooled and they are being questioned and for them to give their answer. Comparing now the homeschooled children and the general population and what happens with them. If you look at the participation in community activities, I would say 71% are homeschooled children compared to the general population. What about Amena continue all the way to college? 74% are homeschooled children against 49% of the others. What about those who understand government, governance, politics? They understand what goes on in this world. The chunk of them, 96% are homeschooled children. The public only registered about 65%. What about they read a book? Have you read a book in the past 6 months? 99% are homeschooled children. The other about 69%. So this is empirical evidence. From the world statistics, putting homeschool children versus public school, homeschool children, they excel. Alipatari, it now concurs with what Mr. Maguda was saying. But when God was instituting this system, by the way, I want to compare, they are not true education. I need to be clear. This is just homeschooling. This is not even true education. So now to that level where God now in the Bible is a textbook. They are not even there. Because they are homeschooled at home and taught principles by their parents, they are excelling by far. This is money now. Because at Hamatia, I got in a drama, homeschooling man, you're public school in terms of money. In America, I got the average homeschooling family spends $500 per child per year. $500 about 500,000. I didn't spend about 500,000 per month. I hope we're together. In the public, those who send their children to the average school, they spend close to $10,000 per child per year. And if you come to Malawi, you can begin to relate. Because most children, Mana Mose is paying like 600,000 a term or 700. If you put it together, it's like 1.5 million. Pajaka, Mana Mose. I mean, yeah. But in America, it's even more expensive. It's close to 10 million for Mana Mose. Because the education system is just so expensive. So in comparison, in terms of money, with which one is more expensive, you quickly see the public system is very expensive compared to the homeschooling. So let me conclude by looking at some quotations on homeschooling by some notable individuals which maybe you may know or perhaps you're going to know them now. This is a certain lady called Tamara Silva. She says, I homeschool my children not to prepare them for tests but to prepare them for life. And you will agree when a child is homeschooled, they are prepared for life because in the kitchen, they are ready. In the garden, they are ready. In the school, in the classroom, they are ready. In church, wherever, they are prepared to face life. Because that's what homeschooling does. And this woman is concurring. Mahatma Gandhi also weighed in on this issue. He said, there is no school equal to a decent home. And no teacher equal to a virtuous parent. Now, these are just notable individuals in this world. Not Bible, but they're telling you there is no school like virtuous parents. There is no other. You won't find it anywhere else. This guy, Woody Bouchman, is a minister of a certain church. He's saying education is discipleship. Whoever is educating our children is discipling them. And whoever is educating your child is discipling him. You know what it means to disciple? Eh? You're making somebody your follower. So whoever is educating your child is discipling your child. If that person believes in witchcraft and whatever, he is discipling your child. This man, Nelson Mandela, said education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. So you want the world to change? You say, well, education can do that for you. And this man, Tim Fargo, said education is every day and everywhere. The only thing you have to pay is what? Attention. Because it's everywhere. You know, in free education, and homeschooling through education, you teach the child on everything and everywhere. Even as we are here, you can draw a lesson from this one. You know, let's draw a lesson from this one. The more this thing is happening, the more air we are having. Education is everywhere. You get to learn everywhere. This is Ellen White commenting on the same issue. She says, higher education means conformity to the terms of salvation. It embraces the experience of daily looking unto Jesus and of working together with Christ for the saving of the humanity. And with higher education is conforming to the terms of salvation. One of the best education systems in the world, which is the public education system, is in Finland. I know Mr. Manton was talking about the country which is most common when it comes to homeschooling is Ireland. The one which is most common when it comes to public. So if you take these two countries head to head, Ireland is a lot of homeschooling. Finland is public schooling. But it's the best. Why is it the best? If you study Finland, one thing you're going to see, they do their public system, but in a home kind of a state. The things that they do and how they teach. They are more aligned. If there was a public school teaching system in the world which aligned to homeschooling, you're going to call it failure. Because that's how they do. And the children excel, they do very well. Their time for school is very limited. The school is only from 9 to 12. And I'm with a lot of extracurricular activities. So their setup is more or less than a home setup, and they are the best education system in the world. So we have presented the public school system and the homeschooling system from a worldly perspective and how the people of the world are viewing this issue. And the people of the world are beginning to agree to say, you know what, the best system for your children is to have virtuous parents to teach, not the other system altogether. I will leave room now for comments and the questions and any additions we may want to have for the next few minutes.
Comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Actually, I was asked that question. Every day, Adam, there's a year or something.
Just another fire.
Correct. Now there's a child, he needs to learn mathematics, but the parents has difficulty teaching the mathematics. So what should the parents do? If the parent outsource services for the sake of the mathematics, what should the parent do? You see, for the text to say there is no better teacher than the parent. Yeah? There are many methods of teaching, which I think in a one later presentation is going to come in my Mandula will touch on that. There are methods how to teach. Because sometimes we only know a straight jacket. Most of us know a straight jacket. 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2 is it, and there are some methods that are different. I just come on this board and write 1 plus 3. They're so different. But you can choose to teach even the little boy mathematics but in a different way. Can you go and get 2 apples? The child will get 2 apples. The principal says, no, I think I need 3. So go and add. So you are teaching the child how to do mathematics, but in a very practical way. The animal are winning. Can you add? I need 3. But soon I'm going to add how many? You understand? So the child will say, I've got 2. And mommy needs 3. So how many am I supposed to give? 1 more. So he goes, guess 1 more. Brings it in. Mommy, I'm bringing the apple. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, you got my son for very good. And perhaps the world may not consider it that way, but you're choosing a very practical way of teaching this child how to do mathematics. And as I went through the presentation, I was saying, somebody made a quotation, education is in everything, it's everywhere. As you travel, things must have all over the place. You just have to find a way to make sure that you are taking advantage of everything about your life, the life of the child, to teach those particular subjects. Classroom in the homeschooling setup is not a classroom as you're sitting down only. As you move, by the way, you teach. Yeah, my daughter, there are some 5 bananas there. I'm charging in 20 each. So how much should I pay? Did you hear that question? What am I trying to teach you there? Multiplication, isn't it? There are 10 bananas, each one is 20. How much should we pay? I need to pay. So she says, okay, 5 bananas. Okay, so I think you need to pay 1,000. What's happening there is the child is being accustomed to the mathematics, and you as a child are teaching you as a parent, are teaching the child the same mathematics, but not in a rigorous, strict and straight jacket way. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So what I call many other is because you follow colors and put this up bubbles. I mean, I'm positions into a straight jacket. But many in the homeschool, we don't do straight jacket. In a homeschool, I'm going to jacket. Oh, me, my daughter loves cooking. She loves baking. No, okay. She loves the boutique. I say, put a cup of flour. Put a cup, then add 2 cups of this. Then add 1/8 of whatever. So, you have to myself. Umababa ngira bajimene yama kwenda ugali. Don't come to me, don't that I would have the cup. Was a fraction of the room. Those are fractions right there. But I come up with you can and you're saying 3 parts will follow. So we need to eat this pizza. Can you cut it into equal proportions? That is how this will be. Wana masama chini kwa mimi. Buli niche pisi chozungulira. Chema umuza kuti ajibule tilipa mfuru. Kumali yesa ajimufana. Gane kama mange sample mimi kupema fractions. Okay. Gazipo mfuru then you begin to sort of do. So you are not just being straight jackets. Fractions it mapanga 1/8. What my fractions it mapanga 1/8. You're not being straight jacket. You are simply just asking a simple question of life. And as you do it, you are learning a very important principle. Even science. It's among a preempt. I'm sure my Mandula will talk a lot about these things to answer that question. How best do you teach muntu? Lesson you I think in Mawa, we are going to go through that lesson. But how best do you teach a child so that you don't run away from certain aspects and think you cannot teach a child because that subject is difficult to you? Okay, so for now, you can hold your question. It will be dealt with a little bit further. Yes, madam.
Angolifusa sofuso tililongi capture.
Mafusa kuti kodi parent itakhala kuna kuti alibe kuthekera kophunzitsa certain subject iyeyo angapange bwanji? Should the parent outsource that particular skill that particular subject from outside the home kuti mwana yaphunzirebe chifukwa parent sangakwanise kuphunzitsa?
All right. Any further question? Yeah, go ahead.
Ndimangofuna ndingoyikira ndemanga kunena kuti we also need to be humble to learn. Chifukwa masamu ena amatiphunzitsa ndi anawo. Ndimafuna ndiyikire ndemanga pafunso limene anafunsa brother Makuta kunena kuti as teachers, as parents, we also need to learn to be humble. Masamu ena kapena kuti njira zina zophunzitsira we learn from anathu omwe. Anathu ali ndi nzeru kwambiri. Ineyo masamu I wasn't good. Koma the way I'm learning from my kids, my husband masamu sivuto. So ndimakhala wachangu kwambiri kuphunzira from ana, though he was amadziwa zoti they're teaching me. Wanimakhala kuti mwina ndikupanga china chake choti seka ma fractions ajajani mwina so wina sungazi so limene ndi fraction. Koma the way amapangira zinthu zawo we learn. I learn from them. Ndikuchita capture china chake. Ndikuchita turn into a lesson. Ndikwabwenzera. Ndikuona unena kuti tikachita outsource tikapezanso anthu ngati ife tomwe. Otiso nawo mwina zipezo zimawavuta. Kuti azidziwe, they worked hard. They learned. Ndetili mu process. Pamene as teachers, as parents, tili mu process yochita learn to teach. Nde concept imeneyo ndiyofunikira kwambiri. We must work hard patoka. Kuti zotivuta zija tizidziwe ndithu. Kungonjezera pa zomwe zayankhulidwazo.
All right. An interesting point has been brought out here. Kungo emphasize that as a parent, the parent is also learning as they are teaching. Actually, to me, that's one secret I've found about homeschooling. Because, especially, I should say, true education homeschooling. God has designed it in such a way that as you teach, you are taught. Even if you say the Bible is the first textbook, but as you teach, you as a parent, you also get taught as you go through this process. So at the end of the day, it's not just the child learning. Where you're in a superior position, I'm a PhD, you are down there, so it's only me to impart knowledge to you. I remember we had teachers that if you begin to talk back at them, they will look at you, who are you? Do you know who I am, my friend? Me, I studied, whatever. It's like Sungandi Su say, what do you know? So the process does not allow the student to teach the teacher. But in homeschooling,
the student can actually teach the teacher, because that's how God has designed it. Yes.
All right. Okay. A comment and a question. A comment maybe on the issue you pointed out on the LGBTI. I think our friends, especially in Europe, sometimes maybe in America, when these things are trying to come into the curriculum, the parents can protest. But I think in Malawi, we accept everything. So maybe that's the danger that we have, that things are changing in our curriculum, and as parents, we are docile. And also on issues on homeschooling, you pointed out packaged curriculums that can be expensive. I don't know if maybe you can try to break it down for us to say maybe within a given period of time, some examples on to say this curriculum may cost you this much, or I don't know if it will be tackled at a later.
Okay, it will be tackled in more detail at a later time. But I think the point which I was trying to introduce now was to bring to view, as you look at homeschooling, sometimes you look at it as something which is done at no cost. So it prepares your mind to know that you're going to spend money for certain things. Because others have gone into the dangerous trap of thinking, tukupanga homeschooling, so somehow there's no, you don't have to spend anything. In fact, when somebody is spending something, it is assumed what you're doing is, no. Homeschooling is supposed to be free. No, it is not necessarily free. Some materials that you need to use, they can and do cost money for you to have those things. My activities, they do cost money. So it cannot be looked upon as free. However, it will be done in many ways as a parent. You cannot be forced to makapanga zina zake zimena mapanga antu wako America. You do things which work for you here. Ine mabajuni zathu ndosiyana. And that waja field trip yukuda akaone zinyama, mwina ndio afuna kukwera ndege. Pamene inuyo mwina sochito sokwera ndege, mutakwera basi mukapeza malo tukuli nyama mukaziona. So we have different opportunities and different things in that hamaiko now. Yeah. So the other issue about the LGBTQI in the alphabet. But okay, the thing is, I think as Mr. Makuta was presenting, he made a point kuti tize apasa zinthuzi because if ndama zotere nazo sanga suse sanga pangena kalikosi. So kwa you failed, you are very right. For most of us in the African countries, samalimbana nafe because we have docility and nafika pa level ina yake. Yeah, at very interesting levels. So we are just going to swallow it like a hook, no problem. Kulibe uso kulimbana nazo. Kusikala mango meza basi. Mwana ngabwera kunyumba za kufusa ni mafuso ni kumada bima mafuso amina kufusa. Then you just realize what I think the education the child was having. Maponyedabo zina zake minimum. They are sponsoring everything. Ma scholarship ena watama kusekele. Mwana under scholarship. Yeah, kupita whatever. The world is changing and it's changing very quickly. And if you don't open your eyes, you fall into the trap. Yeah.
Yeah, free gifts.
Yeah, free education, free everything.
Yeah, free things have really destroyed our thinking. Because even panopo pali ma programs ambiri mizimu tukula pakhomo jani anthu anasiya kumalimbikira pa yokha kuti apeze zinthu amazati zibwera. At the end of the day alandira ndithu zipezeka. So anthu akunena kuti ali nazo ma resources ali nawo ambiri, the more they give us, the more they make us dependent. Yes, and in so doing akatisiya kuti basi tialirira tipaseni ndi atipasana china chilichonse chimene akufunacho. Yeah, so I think the education system yathu yakhala crippled ndi zinthu ngati zimene zokuti palibe anthu amene angathe kuyika pa level yoti anthu azitha ana aziphunzira zinthu zimene angathe kuzidalira paokha. Komano ambiri kapena the system allows us to receive whatever has been designed already for us. Some of the things they are not even suitable for us, but we do them anyway because they are there. We cannot protest and say, ichi sichi kutithandiza wewe benyewe simene chikupanga manje chichiyosema. Ayi.
Pali mkono apa. Liso mkono lero ngone ati mikonoyo. Kuti tuone ndi balance. Okay. Yeah, let's start here then we'll just be moving back this way.
quotation yomwe munawerenga kuyambirira from Councils to the Church. Yeah. Page 202, paragraph, especially paragraph 2. Ndinakhudzika kwambiri ndi the part which says kunena kuti true education si mwina mine zimakhalira ndi skulu ina kuti mwina ndi just yeah. Akuti it means more than preparation for the life that now is. It has to do with the whole being. That point ndinaona kuti ndiyofunikira kwambiri. And the interpretation of the whole being kunena kuti it's physical, mental, and spiritual. Ndikuona kuti kumbali ina ya education imene timaona ya homeschooling kapena kuti ya true education imatipatsa mwayi kuchita check zimene zozo. Because the learning and the training imakhala interconnected. Kunena kuti simachita deal ndi chinthu chimodzi. Mbali inaso ndimaona kuti ndimaziganizira of course kunena kuti mwinaso some of us school iyi kuti vuta because we focus pa chinthu chimodzi. Timachita focus cha uzimu kuti the spiritual, we dwell much pa spiritual growth of the child. Pamene of the three, the mental ndikuona ngati is paramount because ndi imene ikupanga spiritual kumveka bwino kwambiri, kulandirika kwambiri ndi kukuza kwambiri mwana uchi. Ndeti ndimafuna kuti tingolimbikitsana kunena kuti tisazisiyanitse ndi zinthu zofunikira kwambiri. We can't achieve the physical growth wopanda mental. We can't also achieve the spiritual part opanda mental. That's why lero tikhoza kukhala kuti we see anthu amene akuwerenga ndi kuloweza bwino kwambiri mene tinaphunzira. That's what we learn. Tinaphunzira kuloweza kwambiri, so we memorize ma quotations. Timayima kutsogolo ndi kuyankhula ma quotations chanchani. We speak things that we don't do because our mental is retarded. Si kukula, si nakule nafe. Ndeno ndikuona kuti pali mwayi waukulu kwambiri kuti kusankha homeschooling ikutipatsa mwayi waukulu kwambiri kuti tizichita cross check the growth of the child mentally, physically, komanso spiritually. Komanso ikutiphunzitsa to balance. Pambali pena zo tikuyankhula kwambirizana ndikuona kuti tikuthandizikatso ifeyo, we are growing together. Ndi ana athu aja tikuzipanga kuti tikusesamo zinthu zimene zinayikidwa zimene sizoyenerazo. So by clinging ku ichichi ndikuona kuti tikupanga chisankho chabwino kwambiri.
All right, there's a comment behind you.
Okay, comment yanga ndiyokuza my rights amene anakuphunzitsidwa ku school. I just want to give an example of my neighbor. A neighbor too, this other time ati mwana wana analakwitsa. So as a parent anamukwapula. So mwana uja was like ndikakunenerani ku polisi. So mwana uja anapita kuti anapita ku polisi kukanenera bambo ake. Apolisi aja anabwera ndikuzatenga adi bambo ake ndikukatsekera ndikukamenya kumeneko. And it ended up kuti bambo ake aja anapita zoti awapweteka. And ana aja anapita kuti they were suffering because of mene kwawo kulili the main breadwinner ndi bambo awo. So akundifotokozera ndinaona kuti it's a big lesson to me kunena kuti mene how these public schools, how they are controlling our children. It's a serious thing kuti mwina we should also consider it as we are making my decisions kuti which school should we enroll our children. School, I mean, is it about homeschooling or about the public schools? That's the comment that I wanted to say.
From the comment she's making, when you're choosing homeschooling, you are preparing yourself to be a round pin in a square hole. You think no, she's saying the truth. There are things which are happening in this world, and this is becoming rampant everywhere. You're becoming a round pin in a square hole.
komwe sikunali kwaphwanyira ufulu wawo apolisi ayina kumenya. Okay, ndimafuna ndiyambire pamene ananena brother Gondo kuti kumalawi kuno tikhanga timangolandira china chilichonse anzathu kwinako amatha kupanga protest. What does it take to protest? It takes knowledge. So already we are a society imene sitingati kuona kuti pali vuto. It is not possible to protest, not because nthu sizoipa ya, but we are not able to see kuti pali vuto. Kesi ngati tikunena kuti anebawa anakatsekeredwa, ana akuphunzitsidwa zimene zikuoneka ndi zafasho. The nation does not see a problem for capacity libe. Our police do not even see a problem because now also capacity to analyze alibe. Why? We have all been produced ngati machine operators and factory. This is where it's on, this is where it is off. If you want it to go this way, you press this button. If you want it to go this way, press this button. Zija ananena antonda kani ya kusiana kwa reasoning ya Elon Musk kuji. Our police atalandira kesi ngati in a society like Malawi, naturally, they would not have handled it the way they handled it. Because even your capacity to process alibe. Now, issue na kuti tizizoona ngati round pins that are being forced to go into a square hole. Ndimafuna tione beyond what has been said. Makamagano ifeyo ngati amene tikupanga agitate a society imene ili ndi that impairment ya reasoning as a transitional as pioneers of this new thinking. I think it is not just an issue of a round pin and a square hole. It goes beyond that. We're going to be okay. In sciences, there is something that they call inertia. Chinthu chikamazungulira mu state yake, kama chikamaenda ni state, kuti chisinthe njira sichimafuna. Chimafuna chizingopita in that state fachasowa chakhazika mmene. Ndiye kuti ifeyo tisazione ngati tikupanga zikhaza pafupi. But the good thing is, from what Brother Makuta said earlier, ifeyo tangochita mochedwa, kapata tangiyamba kuziganiza mochedwa, tithokoze Mulungu kuti at least we are able to question. Because we have gone through the same system. If it's brain damage, we have suffered it mofanana. Koma ndikisomo cha Mulungu kuti now we can stand aside and say, no, Mama, was I thinking right? That is an investment that God has done in us. Kuti, while we have been prepared in a corrupting system, but He has applied ISOV in our eyes, and we are beginning to see things differently. That investment is at a very big cost. Koma He who has bidden us is willing and able to enable us to do it.
Amen. Ndimafuna ndikupanga invite last comment. so that we can close for question.
You have a comment?
Okay. Kangati comment palibe. They are agitating to want the meeting to come to an end, I'm sure.
Comment.
All right. May we?
ndinali ndifunso pa ishu ya zinthu ngati zoti matiriyo yoti osati matiriyo komano tinganene kuti zomwe ungamphunzitse mwana eti ndeni mafuna ndifunse kuti fa anawa ali mastage ang'ono akulu ndeno ungadziwe bwanji kuti no ndingane kuti unga stage kuti uphunzitse chani kuti wafika stage iyi ungaphunzitse chani ali ka stage aka ungaphunzitse chani upeze kuti mwina zosongomuyika pa stage yaying'ono ichi ndeno pamene popo ungalani.
Okay, mufunsafunsa okhuzana ndi material yoti mwana angaphunzirenso yopanga align ndi msinkhu wake. I think imeneyo is more pali another topic imene kubwera which is going to align kwambiri ndi funso imene mafunsalo lokamba za materials and all that stuff anati zaphunzitse bwanji and all these things. Komano just as a general comment imene nganene homeschooling imana kuti Bible is the main textbook. Have you noticed the Bible ilibe age restriction, ilibe age limit, ilibe age guidance? Have you ever noticed? Mulungu anapereka mawu ake kwa wina aliyense. Kuyambira mwana wang'ono mpaka munthu wankulu. Aliyense azichimva chinthu chakodi pamene iyono ali. Mulungu sanene kuti mwana musamulengeze Bible mpaka afike zaka 10 ayi. Mmene awerengere mwamva kuti Adamu Mulungu anamulenga anamugonesa napanga Hava. Ndika understanding keke kang'onoko achimvesesa momwemo. Pamawu akazawerengaso verse imene chali zaka 15 Mulungu anagonesa Adamu Hava azabwera with a deeper understanding of the same thing. Akazakula kwambiri ali ma 20s wambano kuwerenga ma commentaries majanja akuwerengaso verse yomweja Adamu anagonesa panga Hava amachiona no in a very deep way. Ndikufuna ndikutenga Bible as a reference point. Kuti pali zina zake zimene Mulungu anatipasa in a way kuti sanatipase restriction age kuti chisu ungaphunzitse chimukatani. So iyoyo even kuphunzitsako yes, if you're talking about ma curriculum kala mwina guidance imene anthu ena angakupase kuti amuna izizi za custom for mwana koma kuti munthu wamkulu amene amapanga determine zimenezo ndi iweyo monga kholo. Because kumona mwana wako kuti ine uyuyo ndi amene makapankhani ngati I think ndimandafulumisa ndimudikire kaye ndikambebe at another time. So as a parent ndamene makaso kwambiri ndi a bigger say. Koma kwakulu ngokuti as a parent you need to be educated. Zamakamba zichi. As a parent you need to be guided. Ndezi ndoti kuchita tikuthandizana apapazi kuti pangane guide how best zinthu zitenga zipangire. And that question mafusayo fusomera liyankhidwa. Koma I think in a more broader detail ndikamaka mpana nkhani za materials ophunzana ndi zina zotero. Ndefusulo Mulungu lisunga limene liyankhidwa. Ayi anthu a Mulungu titseke maso tipemphe.
Ona ngati kuti anthufe ndi amenenso even Bible tikumafuna kumalipanga zimenezi. Chifukwa system iyi yatisokoneza kwambiri yomwe apanga grade ana. Zaka ziwiri onse zaka ziwiri akhale apa. Azaka 4 kuchali chiso tayamba kumapanga zimenezonso. And that is very confusing. Ana simungama apange zimenezo even ku church. For Bible lijatalipangano ngati kuti ndi zophunzira za ana zina ana asaphunzire Bible muja. It's not kuti asaziphunzire zinthu koma how zinthu zo ungaziphunzise zomwezo zooneka zovutazo. Science yomweyo yooneka kuna kuti uphunzira za makotolidons uphunzira za koma zomwezo ungamphunzise mwanji mwana wa zaka ziwiri. Pamenepo ndi pamene pali nkhani mmene afotokozera kuti verse lomwero ungaliphunzise bwanji kwa mwana amene ali ndi zaka ziwiri. Sikuti wankulu saliwerenga lomwe awerengaso lomwero koma wankulu alimva bwanji. Pamene pali nkhani pamene. Koma anthu sitimatha kuzindikira kuna kuti skuluyo ikuyeneka kuyenda mwa mtundu woterowo kuti at every stage kapena every age mwana uja chinthu chazichimva mosiyana akamakula. Koma chinthu chake chomwecho tikumayambana kuwaphunzitsa zinthu zina zimene tinakayamba ngati first school yathu mukayiona zinthu zimene tinakayamba kuziphunzira kalekale anawa tikamawaphunzitsa ine ndikuda kuti anawa kuphunzira zinthu izizi panopo pamene ife zimene zinaziphunzira ku sekondari you would see kuna kuti ndeti ndinachedwa bwanji zinthu izizi bwe zingazipanga master koma ndinaziphunzira ku sekondari and ndinangoziphunzira kuti ndikonze mayeso sinazimveseso. The system ya homeschooling imakupanga ana amayamba kuzimvesesa zinthu zichali ang'ono. I have seen ku China mmene amachitira ana akamapanga practical kandi ya electronics ana ang'ono akupanga assemble ma diode majani kumayika pa board kumapanga switch bwino circuit ana ku primary pamene kumalawi kuno zimene zokazipanga kutiko ku college. So mwana uyu waziyamba ali wang'ono mukazali akamakula zakhala ndani master wa zinthuzi. Asilamu anzathu sife toka mmene tikupanga homeschooling. I tell you machalichi ambiri akupanga homeschooling. So ifenso tikuyeneka kuziwa kuti anawo tikayamba ali ang'ono tisatengere age tikayamba anawo ali ang'ono mizu ndi nthamba amaphunzira zinthu zofanana nthamba ali ndi zaka 4 mizu ali ndi zaka 6 amaphunzira zinthu zofanana koma amazimvesesa mosiyana delivery leso imakhala yosiyana singakhale yofanana silingamkakamize nthambi kuphunzira zinthu mmene akuphunzirira mizu koma zinthu zake zimakhala zomwezi nthamba amaziphunzira mwa mtundu wina.
akafika from 6 to 10 akuipangaso munjira ina akakulaso akusayiwerengaso mwina so kwa mwanayo mwinaso it can be more confusing kuti kodi cheni nde ndichiticho
so afuna mwana awerenge thou shall have this you will have this telephone I think they are simple.
So I think your point.
Okay. Oh, I pray that your health is good.
Kulidula olopena kungolika mwina kungolipanga simplify mokuti lingomveka kwa mwana kungopanga summarize.
But you can I understand memo nena the Bible self no panga summarize. All right, antamulungu I think we should stop here. Tipempera then tipeleka mpata wa mai Mandula peka announcement ya chakuja and tipanga na guide tenda bunch from there. The second master tipempere. Mulungu atokonda mmene makhala kumwamba fadi kutokozeni pacha utumiki umene utumiki wanu pacha nkhani izi zimene inu mwafuna kuti zikambirane nkhani zimene mwafuna kuti maso athu atsekuke Mulungu wakumwamba nkhani izi nzachipulumutso ndikupempha Mulungu wakumwamba kupezeka kwanu pakati pathu ndikupemphanso chilimbikiso chanu tikamachoka malo anu tikakhale moyo umene ukakhale obweretsa ulemu ndi matamando ku dzina lanu pitizani kukhala nafe atiphunzira nkhani izi kazikakhazikike mitima yathu kwaukulu kakhazike m'miyoyo yathu potapempha mdzina la Yesu Khristu amen.